This is Money Talk 1310 and 100.9. Welcome to the Real Estate PB&J Hour, hosted by Realtors Paul Fuqua and Joyce Carcase, who are experts in the fundamentals of buying and selling homes and other real estate properties. Now, here's Paul and Joyce.
Good afternoon, folks. This is Paul Fuqua with Rose and Womble. Once again, I want to welcome you to the PB&J Hour, the Real Estate PB&J Hour, where we are dedicated to the fundamentals of real estate. And we chose the peanut butter and jelly as our motif and logo and catchline because nothing is more fundamental than a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Our first order of business is to discuss the status of the market today, which it remains a very, very, very competitive market. The National Association of Realtors is reporting that nationally, last month, 6.5 million homes were sold with a median sales price of $350,300, which compares favorably with our median prices. Now, nationally, there are only 1.6 months of inventory. As we discussed last week when we had guests on, we were talking about the absorption rate and what that means. It means that if you know how many houses are selling in a month, then you know, and how many are on the active list, you know how long it'll take to zero out all the listings. That's the absorption rate. So if without any new listings nationally, in 1.5 months, there would be no houses to buy. Now, the median sales price of $350,300 is actually up 15.4% over last year. And the inventory just for January was down 0.3 per 3 months. Now, here in Hampton Roads, as of today, there were 2,026 houses which had gone under non-contingent contract last month, according to the MLS listing service. And that's at a median sales price of $291,000, which includes the Peninsula and South Side and northeastern North Carolina. Active listings, those that show up on Zillow, on the MLS, continue to be at historic lows today with 2,565 active listings, 2,500. But 43% of those puppies are already under contract, leaving available for sale 1,454 houses. That's why it's such a crazy place out there. During the past 2 years, people have gotten comfortable with the houses in which they live. They've fixed their bathrooms. They've done the kitchens, they've resurfaced the deck, they've painted the walls, and now they realize, hey, this is a pretty good house. We don't really need to move. Where we see movement is people who are coming into this area from other high-priced areas, and they're flush with cash. And we're seeing people who want to downsize if they can find something to which they can downsize. And that's one of the tasks that people such as myself and Joyce Carcase at Rose and Womble, those are the things we do. We try and find houses for people. We also sell houses for people. So that's why we're on the air, by the way. People are continuing to buy homes at a faster rate than they're being replaced on the market. And when you think about it, there are more than 10,000 real estate agents in this area. We have, what is that ratio? 25% of if we take 2,500 houses and they're 10,000, so that's one house for every 4 agents. It's a ridiculous percentage. I don't quite know how to work that math without my calculator. But all of us real estate agents, we're kind of running around going, what are we going to do? I mean, can't find a house for our buyers unless we luck into it. And we're on there so that if it comes on at 7 o'clock in the morning, I make a call at 7:10, and we're trying to see the house by noon if we can get in. And by 3 o'clock, there'll be 4 offers. So it's become an extremely competitive market. And some real estate agents may want to consider taking on a new career because those monthly bills, they are due all the time. And we as agents, we only get paid when the deal that we've structured closes. And so the money is exchanged, and that's when we get paid. Now, again, what do all these numbers we throw out every week mean? Well, we're challenged. All of us are challenged if we're looking for houses both to either sell or to buy. It's a competitive market. And one of the things we as agents try to do for our buyer clients is to help position offers which make their offer more attractive to the seller of a property. I've told the tale, I think 2 weeks ago, of a house we brought on the market, and within the first 4 hours, we had 5 or 6 offers. All of those offers had escalation clauses, and the house ended up selling for more than 20% over what we'd projected as the anticipated target price. Our clients were very happy. They had expended a significant amount of time over the preceding 3 months of decluttering and painting and restructuring the house so that it would be able to be sold at the top of the market, and that's what they did, the top of the market plus. Now, what we do know is that there are any number of elements when you are a prospective buyer that you want to add into your contract that can influence that seller to choose one offer over other competing offers. Price is, of course, the first determinant. If it's a $350,000 house, you know that you're going to pay $350,000. You may end up having to pay more than that, depending on the condition of the house, the time it came on the market, and the projected marketing efforts of the agent who is handling it for the sellers. Now, the elements beyond price are things such as escalation clause. What does that mean? It means that if somebody else comes in and they're higher than you, you are authorizing the buyer or the seller to increase your price by X amount of money to a cap. So it may be $1,000 over the next offer until you get up to, let's say it's $325,000 house, you get up to $345,000, and then it stops. And if they go over that, then the other guys get it. That's the cap. The other element you want to consider is the status of your appraisal as outlined in the offer and in the contract. The boilerplate says that if the house does not appraise at the sales price, then in a conventional loan, then the seller has to drop his price to make certain that to the appraised value, to make certain that it will be a consummated deal, a consummated transaction. In today's market, people are removing that, and they are guaranteeing in cash the amount over the appraised value that the sales price is. Or in some instances, we have Holly Robinson from Advanced Finance, who's going to explain today what a waiver of an appraisal costs and what has to be done in order to do so. So that's an element. What are you going to do about the appraisal? You're buying this house for $350,000. You're buying this house for $375,000 and only appraises for $350,000. There's a $25,000 gap. In the past, you had to come up with that. In some instances, if you're putting enough money down, then you don't have to worry about that appraisal. That's written into the contract. The other is the amount of the down payment. The stronger the down payment, the larger the dollar amount, and the earnest money deposit, which is part of your down payment or part of your payment overall. Those are key elements of making your offer attractive to the seller. So you want to look at that very hard. Then additionally, what are you going to do about inspections? What are you going to do about other contingencies that exist? You can accept a house as is. You can have an inspection done for informational purposes only, or you can have an inspection done and make it in contingent, the contract contingent, meaning if it's not acceptable to you, you can walk on and all that comes down to what you want to do with the inspections. If we know a history of the house, and that's one of the jobs that good realtors look to do, we want to know if there have been inspections. We're going to definitely have a termite and moisture inspection, and we always advise you have a homeowner's inspection, home buyer's inspection, for informational purposes, if only so. Even if you don't want to have it contingent, at least you know what you're getting into with your eyes wide open. And In some instances, you can discover areas of the house that need attention that are within the contract and are not contingent. Those are walkthrough items. Systems in the house have to operate as intended. Doors have to close and lock. Windows have to open and close and lock. Appliances that convey have to work as intended. All of those elements, if you don't change the contract to read as is, where is, all those elements constitute walkthrough items and have to be replaced or repaired by the seller at walkthrough. So you want to find out what those are. A recent one, we handled a buyer and discovered, because of the competitive market, we weren't going to run a home inspection, but we did make it for informational purposes, and we did discover that there were shortages in the house and in its appliances, et cetera, or conditions that were to be corrected by the seller at the seller's expense because it's a walkthrough item. That's just the nature of the business and the nature of the beast when you're dealing with a residential sale. Other elements of consideration when you're doing a strong contract is the date of closing. The faster you can close, the faster the seller can get out and move on with the rest of his life. Are you willing to offer a rent back to the seller? So that if you're going to close in 30 days, will you let him stay in there paying minimal rent to you for 15 days until he gets relocated, or 30 days? We've seen that. What is the type of financing and the strength of the loan approval letter and or a funds available certification if it's a cash deal, so that you are presenting to the seller the very best picture of this deal for you and for him. Otherwise, your competition, and we've seen as many as 7 or 8 or 9 contracts come in on a particular house, your competition can't match you if you've done all your homework. Now, the one thing that opens up a concern to most buyers is that of overpaying. We're in a hot market. It's a competitive market. And the issue is, on the minds of some buyers, is that they don't want to overpay for a house. They may need a house. They may want a house. It may be the perfect house for them, but they were somewhat reluctant to act because the idea of paying more than it's, quote, worth, end quote, or more than it should be, quote, end quote, is anathema to them. And they are reluctant to make that step. But the reality is, if you're talking about a dollar amount beyond the listing price, you are in most instances reacting to market conditions. That's one. 2, in the long run, a $15,000 or $20,000 investment in your house over 30 years becomes relatively inconsequential. The most important element is, what is your monthly operating cost going to be for this house? What can you afford monthly? Because the impact of a overpaid, the concept of an overpaying, is stretched out over the term of the loan that you're placing. Or if it's cash, it's the return of that you're not realizing by having that money in the stock market, or having that money in a 401k, or having that money in your savings account. So we advise people is to look really hard at what their monthly expense will be and how badly this house meets their expectations. During the course of our conversation with Holly Robinson from Advance, and we also were very honored to have the mayor of the beautiful city of Chesapeake here, Rick West, to discuss the economics of city life and the advantages of living in his city or in the Hampton Roads area or moving. But we've now come to that time when it's break time. So there are people out there who are paying the freight. Please remember, this is the Real Estate PB&J Hour, and I'm Paul Fuqua, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Money Talk Traffic. Congestion on the peninsula, southbound 664 stop and go 27th to the Monarch Merrimack. And in Hampton, 64 eastbound is backing up from the HRBT through King Street. In Norfolk, 64 westbound stalled vehicle on the right shoulder at Military. And we have wrecks on the secondaries battlefield near Oak Grove Road and one in Newport News, Oyster Point Road at Jefferson. Tony Hayes, Money Talk 1310 and 100.9.
Tune in Tuesdays at 5 p.m. to the Free Enterprise Hour, hosted by local entrepreneur Ray Ronker, owner-operator of Wild Wing Cafe in Chesapeake. For 40 years, Ray has been a successful local businessman. Now every Tuesday at 5 p.m., he'll help guide aspiring entrepreneurs down the path to success while promoting the free market economy as the lifeblood of America. From expert guests in their fields to quality business discussions, find it all during the Free Enterprise Hour, Tuesdays at 5 p.m. on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9 FM.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Pitbull Tobacco and More is your one-stop shop for counterculture products in Hampton Roads. With the widest selection of cannabis derivatives such as Delta 8, Delta 10, THCO, and THCV, Pitbull Tobacco and More is ready to serve you. Stop by any of their 4 locations in Chesapeake, Norfolk, and Virginia Beach to enjoy friendly, knowledgeable customer service and the best prices in the 757. Join them at the Eagle's Nest in Chesapeake on Thursdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for Pitbull Power Hour. Pitbull Tobacco and More. For locals, by locals.
Would you like to sell your home the easy way? Call Christy Buys Houses. She will buy your house for cash. 757-780-5166. Christy Buys Houses. Cash up front. In any price range, in any location in Hampton Roads. Do you want the best price for your house? Consider it done. Christy will beat any offer you have on the table. And don't worry if your house needs thousands of dollars in repairs. Christy loves buying fix-up houses. Or perhaps you have a tenant living on your property? No worries. Christy will buy your house with a tenant in it. And if you think your property will be difficult to sell, Christy Buys Houses truly makes it easy, providing assistance for any situation. Remember, if you need cash fast, Christy pays cash up front. Call today, 757-780-5166. Sell your home the easy way with Christy Buys Houses. That's 757-780-5166.
I want to be that personal jeweler. I want to be that friend. I want to build that relationship.
For Diamonds Direct's Jeff Hawkins, it's never about selling the next ring. It's about listening, helping, and educating.
I'm not here to sell you. I'm here to guide you, and I'm going to provide you the information so that you can make the decision.
And with Diamonds Direct's massive selection, it's easy to make every couple happy. With any size diamond and any style ring, literally thousands of choices.
There is so much to choose from. I can't believe what I see in my eyes.
Plus, with a nationwide price guarantee, a free lifetime warranty, and a 110% diamond upgrade guarantee, Diamonds Direct takes out all the mystery, all the pressure, and all of the risk.
It is risk-free. Risk-free. The Hampton Roads community has needed a place like Diamonds Direct, and we are so privileged to be a part of it.
And if you ask him, Jeff might even do his best Matthew McConaughey impression.
All right.
Diamonds Direct. Fun people who make jewelry shopping easy. On Virginia Beach Boulevard across from Town Center.
My name is Jeff Hawkins, and I look forward to meeting you at Diamonds Direct very soon.
Welcome back to the Real Estate PB&J Hour on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9. Rose and Womble Realtors, Paul Fuqua and Joyce Carcase continue their discussion of the fundamentals of home buying and selling.
Thank you for staying tuned. This is Paul Fuqua with Rose and Womble Realty. This is the Real Estate PB&J Hour, and you can listen to us on the radio at 1310 a.m. or 100.9 FM. I have to tell you that. You're listening to us somehow if you're listening at all. And you can also go to moneytalk1310.com and pick us up. Now, I'm very pleased to introduce, again, Holly Robinson from Advanced Financial Group, which is a subsidiary of Town Bank. And Holly was on the show a couple weeks ago, and she is a loan officer, and she handles all manner of loans for seven-figure deals and for six-figure deals. Holly, thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Now, a big question. What are you seeing, considering the conversation I just had with myself and the audience, what are you seeing in the way of applications and creative financing for buyers who are trying to buy a house in today's competitive situation? What can you do for them?
Well, my company offers an opportunity with bridge loans.
You want to explain a bridge loan?
Sure do. And so what a bridge loan is, it's a short-term mortgage loan. Ours is a 12-month interest-only loan. And you're taking that mortgage out on your current primary residence or your current second home. And that's where you're borrowing equity that allows you to, put down that money for, down payment, guarantees, if you're doing any type of guarantees above and beyond appraisals, however you see fit to use that money. But it allows you to go under contract for a purchase without any types of contingencies.
And that would have to be disclosed in a contract if my recollection of real estate practice law is such that if there is a financing predicated on the sale or refinancing of another property, we have to disclose that to the seller. To your knowledge, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. Now, what do people need? What's absolutely critical for a prospective buyer to come to you and submit to you you can give to your underwriters for preliminary loan approval? What do they have to have?
Well, to go to underwriting for loan approval, because usually when we're able to provide a pre-approval letter coming from the mortgage loan officer, we're just looking at credit, paycheck stubs, and things of that nature. But to go to underwriting for your signed on the dotted line commitment, that is a completed loan application. And then anything that's on that loan application, we need to have the trailing documents to back that up. So your income documents and then your asset documents. If you are using particular assets for the transaction and you list them on the loan application, then we need that information. I encourage you, though, if we are not using investment accounts or different assets from different opportunities, then don't necessarily list them so that you don't have to be providing so much paperwork.
So if you put down that you have stock holdings in here and there and all over the place, do you have to substantiate anything if they're in that application?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that just adds time and grief.
And more questions, for sure. You can count on that.
What about if I want to borrow from my IRA? Can I fund some of this from my IRA or my 401k at work?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And is there anything else I need if I'm going to borrow from the 401k at the office or in my company? Do I need a letter from whoever runs that for them?
We always follow the money. So we're just like anything else, just like any type of deposit or bank transfer. We're going to have to see the money coming from the withdrawal of the 401k, see the deposit,
right,
and then have all the courting documentation to verify that that's where the money came from.
Now, if my grandmother won the lotto and she was going to gift me with $200,000 so I could go buy a house, is there any time that it would be necessary for that money, that gift to happen before I've made application?
Nope. Gift funds can be provided all the way up to closing on different type of loans. Have different types of requirements with that. But no, you don't have to have the gift prior to applying.
Okay. Now I'm going to have to resuscitate my grandmother from the grave so that we can borrow her money so I can improve the house I'm in. Anyway, all right. Now, are you seeing appraisals being waived by buyers? And if so, isn't that crazy?
Well, I know that appraisals can be waived in cash purchases, certainly. But when you are seeking financing from a mortgage lender, that mortgage lender is going to want to see an appraisal unless you potentially put 20% down. There are other items that may apply to that, but it is absolutely possible that if you put a 20% down payment, that an appraisal waiver will appear, and then you can decide if you want to purchase an appraisal or not purchase an appraisal.
So, let me see, $400,000. That's $80,000 I have to put down, and then I can waive the appraisal.
More conditions may apply, but yes.
Typical lender, mortgage. What does mortgage do? You got to have rights to my firstborn son? Is there something?
Maybe.
Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot, Holly.
That would be a lot easier.
Remind me to have you back on here. All right. Now, big question, and I know that every loan officer I know in my small world always wants to skirt the question of the interest rates. We've recently seen, and it's been well publicized, jumps in mortgage interest rates due to a variety of and various factors. And is there any sign on the horizon that this is going to slow down or lessen?
No, absolutely not.
I'd like to be blunt.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Rates are going to continue to increase.
And is there a cap? Do you see it happening in this year? Is it going to end up at 5%? 6%?
I have heard rumors, but they are really rumors. I can't even think of the source off the top of my head, so I don't want to give you a number. But no, there's not something that says that it's going to cap.
Okay.
And we're definitely going to see increases.
Now, let me ask you a question. If I came in and I sat down with you and I gave you all the package, everything in the package you need to submit for a loan application, and I wanted to lock in the rate, I think I've asked this before, how long can I lock that rate for? And does it cost me money to do it?
Well, the less days that you lock your interest rate, the less money it's going to cost.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a 30-day interest rate lock.
Right.
A 60-day interest rate lock, a 90-day interest rate lock.
But each of those subsequent steps costs you a certain dollar. Right?
Yes.
Okay. And can those locks be broken? Can the bank all of a sudden say, nah, we decided we're not going to do this. The rate's now 7% and we've got you at 4%.
No. When you're locked in, you're locked in.
Okay. And so
However,
oh boy, here it comes.
If your rate lock expires.
Oops.
And depending upon the situation, you choose not to extend your rate lock. And by extending your rate lock, you pay a certain amount of money to keep the current interest rate that you have.
Right.
But if your rate lock completely expires, then you have to wait a certain amount of time before you can relock. And then you're at the mercy of whatever the current market is at that time.
Now, we're coming up on a break in a couple minutes, and I don't want to shut you down at all, but I do have a lot of questions for Mayor West. Do you have any advice for the buyers who right now are gun-shy due to the interest rate increases? And are you seeing, as a consequence of the increases, a change in the number of applications beyond the normal seasonal change? January and February are always terrible months. But we're coming out of that. It's going to be March, and then we're going to get the greening of late March and April, and all of a sudden people are going to be buying houses because they like the plants in the front. So do you have advice for those buyers who are gun-shy now because of interest rate increases?
I do. In my conversations with people that I'm able to pre-approve, get comfortable with the payment. Look at your payment. Don't necessarily focus on whatever the interest rate is. We have no control over what interest rates are going to be reported. So, figure out what your comfortable payment is. If it's $1,200 a month with taxes, insurance, principal and interest, and, any other types of mortgage insurances, then that's what you focus on. You focus on the $1,200 payment and what $1,200 can get you in a house.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you to tell the people who you are, how to reach you, and how dedicated you are to getting them good loans and good rates. You are?
I am Holly Robinson with Advanced Financial Group. My NMLS ID number is 1112-728, and I am absolutely dedicated and committed all hours of the day to helping all types of people in all types of financial situations to purchase.
Do you have a phone?
I do.
You want to
757-435-0354. 757-435-0354.
Holly, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have somebody that knows what she's doing. This is Paul Fuqua with Rose and Womble. We're on the Real Estate PB&J Hour at 1310 a.m., 100.9 FM. When we come back, we will have the Honorable Mayor of Chesapeake, Rick West. See you in a few minutes. Bye-bye.
Money Talk Traffic.
Congestion delays on the south side, 64 westbound stop and go Mason Creek to the HRBT. 264 westbound is backing up from the downtown tunnel to Compostela. In Chesapeake, 64 eastbound, there's a crash on the exit ramp to Battlefield at exit 290B and a wreck on the side streets Battlefield at Oak Grove Road. Tony Hayes on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9.
Here's Dave Ramsey with today's Ramsey Reality Check.
The government loan forgiveness program has rejected 99% of borrowers so far. Only 96 people are included in the first cohort of borrowers of the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. If you're waiting on the government to fix your life, you're screwed. Get your student loans paid off.
Listen live weekdays at 2 on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9.
Progressive Snapshot can save you money based on how you drive and how much you drive. So the safer you drive, the more money you could save. Now, if you didn't hear that because you were looking at your phone while driving, let me say it again. Seriously, put down your phone. That is so unsafe. If you didn't do stuff like use your phone while driving, you could save money with Progressive Snapshot. But saving or not, just put it down. And if you did hear it the first time because you weren't looking at your phone, nice work. You'd love Snapshot from Progressive because it rewards safe drivers. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California and North Carolina or from all agents.
Considering a home standby generator or solar, but don't know who to call? Galt Electric isn't some door-to-door sales operation. They've been in Hampton Roads and have had your back through outages and high energy rates since 1995. Galt Electric is your hometown generator and solar installer that can help you transition to a more reliable energy solution. So don't get left in the dark. Call Galt Electric at 757-220-3300 and find out how to lower your power bill and prepare for future outages.
At Which Wich, we carefully craft our witches to perfection. Choose from freshly sliced meats, cheeses, and a variety of toppings to customize your favorite witch. Or try one of our favorites, like the Wicked, with 5 meats and 3 cheeses. It's wicked good. Round out your meal with fries and a milkshake. Come visit us today or order online at perfectwitch.com. That's perfectwich.com. Get your witch on at Which Wich, superior sandwiches with locations in Norfolk, Suffolk, and Williamsburg.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Enter the endless hot shower sweepstakes for your chance to win a tankless hot water heater from Virginia Natural Gas and Miller's Home Comfort. Virginia Natural Gas customers can also complete their free online home energy audit and request a free energy savings kit. Get info and enter to win at MoneyTalk1310.com. Welcome back to the Real Estate PB&J Hour on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9. Rose and Womble Realtors, Paul Fuqua and Joyce Carcase continue their discussion of the fundamentals of home buying and selling.
This is Paul Fuqua with Rose and Womble. I'm back, and you're back, hopefully. And you're on 1310 AM, 100.9 FM. And you can also listen to us on your computer at moneytalk1310.com. If you would like to call in and ask a question of the eminent mayor of Chesapeake, the number is 757-497-1310. 497-1310. Dino Franza will answer the phone, and he will screen out those calls that may well be objectionable. I wouldn't, but he will. Anyway, let's get back to this. We are here with the eminent Rick West, Dr. Rick West. He has his PhD. And I want to thank him for being so gracious in agreeing to be on the PB&J Hour. Rick, you have always shown a love for your city. It's your home. It's apparent. Can you tell our audience what it was like to grow up in Chesapeake before it was a city, when it was just like, country bumpkinsville? It's your mic.
I would love to tell that story, Paul. But first, before I do, I have to say I listened to you more these last 35 minutes, and I listened to you working with you for, 6 years. And had I gotten...
It was longer than 6. It was almost a dozen.
Okay, well, regardless, how long... If I had listened to you, I probably would have learned more about selling real estate, and I'd probably still be selling real estate, and I'd be a whole lot better financially than I am with a $27,000 a year salary of being mayor of the City of Chesapeake. Aren't I lucky for that?
Look, we are lucky. I got to tell you, I admire everything about your leadership in the City of Chesapeake, but I want to hear more about what it was like growing up before there was a Chesapeake.
Okay, that's good. So the first 11 years of my life, we were not called Chesapeake. We were called Norfolk County. Then in 1963, Norfolk County and the city of South Norfolk decided to merge and create a city called Chesapeake. In fact, there was a referendum, different names out there as to what the name would be. We were pulling for the name Great Bridge because that's where I lived, but it got a distant second, so it became the City of Chesapeake. But honestly, it really did not matter to me what we called ourselves because I didn't. If anybody asked me up until I went to college, what city do you live in, I would probably said Great Bridge. And because that was just where I lived, where I loved, and where my neighbors and family were.
It's incredible to me that you still have all these areas of Chesapeake. And when you ask somebody, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Deep Creek. Where are you from? Oh, I'm from Great Bridge, or I'm from Hickory, or I'm from Greenbrier. It's as though Chesapeake is this umbrella organization, and you're the mayor of that. Can't you fix that so people can identify with Chesapeake?
You know, I visited the Raleigh-Durham area, and that's an interesting thing. That's what they said. I asked the question to them, do you lose your identity when you start merging all these cities and become a big region? And the answer was exactly what you just said. No, people will say, I am from whatever area of the region they were, or I'm from Durham, or I'm from Charlotte, or I'm from whatever. So, I think that's a good thing. We should always keep that identity. Where we grow up is part of who we are. And also we have those rivalries. So when someone says I'm from Deep Creek, I can give a little going on,
No, we've been to some football games together.
So you asked the question, what was it like?
I did.
Chesapeake or Great Bridge, all of Chesapeake was very rural. I mean, my grandfather owned 2 businesses, probably 5 that were located in Great Bridge. One of them's called Cook's Hardware. The other one was Cook Variety Store. Both of them, basically, their customers were farmers, and they met the needs, the daily household needs of the farmers, particularly around the area. And so life for us, at least from my perspective as a child, was about getting on your bicycle and leaving in the morning and coming back sometime before dark. And during that time, we could have been stealing apples, playing backyard football, baseball, or basketball, whichever was in season. It was always fun picking teams and getting everybody together. And so, it was just a rural, laid-back area. One of our highlights was, going to the canal and doing some crabbing. And for the adults, life centered around football, Great Bridge High School football. And so what was interesting, a lot of the adults, after the Friday night game, would gather at my uncle's hardware store and criticize the coaches for not throwing passes or not running the ball.
Were there any liquid refreshments at the hardware store? Did they have to drink denatured alcohol?
My guess is that there was a little bit of moonshine in that conversation, but I'm not going to say for sure.
Now, wait a minute. You went to Ferrum, and I think you went to ODU, and you went to Virginia, UVA, and where you got an advanced degree from a bunch of schools. You're very educated, very erudite man. But my other question to you is, after 30 years of being in the Chesapeake school system as a teacher and an administrator and a principal, what prompted you to move into the field of politics and governance?
Well, prior to that, as you know, I sold real estate. I think after being in...
we sold a lot of real estate.
Yeah. It's being, in public education, you are sort of confined to a schedule, number one. And secondly, you really didn't know whether you were accomplishing things or whether the system was. So it was important to me to be to feel like I was achieving something. That's why I liked real estate for a period. But then I came back to my roots. So one of the things that going back to what Chesapeake is and was, it was always a city that cared. I mean, there was a community. We had our challenges as a family growing up in Great Bridge during that time, but always there were coaches, there were pastors, there were neighbors that would step up and help us as a family and help us as individuals, encourage. I remember one time one of our our local police officers picked me up from elementary school and was taking me home. And I thought I was in trouble. I said, oh, no, Mr. Mundy's taking me home. And all he wanted to know was why I hadn't signed up for Little League basketball. He said, because if you're afraid to get on this guy's team, this coach that I didn't care for, and we can make sure that doesn't happen, but we need you to sign up, Ricky. That was what it was like.
Oh, listen, if you have a question for Mayor West, remember, you can call 497-1310. Now, I have a question. This is getting back more to the thrust of the conversation. I don't want to delve into your storied past anymore, but what's the long-term outlook for continued growth in the industrial and large employee count business or community employers in Chesapeake?
Well, we have, as you know, Summit Point, a Dollar Tree headquarters, the only Fortune 500 company that's still in Hampton Roads is still in Chesapeake, and we're honored to have them. They're great corporate partnerships. But we also have a commodity down at the end of 17, 4,000 acres with one owner that has the potential, in fact, is the site that many people around the state are looking to as a mega site for large development. I mean, almost a big Greenbrier, looking for manufacturers, and there are a lot of opportunities there.
Well, what does Chesapeake have to do to convince a company like a Dollar Tree, or I want to go Amazon or Tesla or anybody? What do you use as your sales tool in making a presentation to them?
Yeah, all of these companies are looking for sites that are site ready. In other words, once they decide to build somewhere or to establish a company, they have to have sites that are site ready. So that's investment for getting water, sewer, and all that kind of thing down. But let me tell you what companies are now looking for more than anything else, and that is human capital. They're looking for people that they can get to work and show up on time and are willing to learn the skills. And so workforce development for every city, particularly for our city and our region, is the number one most important thing that we can continue to work on.
I want to hold that thought for a minute. Folks, we're going to take a break. This is Paul Fuqua with Rosenweimel. This is the Real Estate PB&J Hour. You please call in at 497-1310. We'll be back in a few minutes with Mayor West. Bye-bye.
Everybody has a smile story, those daily moments of joy that make you smile, especially when you're a child like 3-year-old Zena. Her smile is as bright as her future, but there's something you wouldn't know about Zena. She was born with a cleft lip, which can make it hard to eat, talk, hear, and even breathe. And she's far from alone. A baby is born with a cleft every 3 minutes. This hurdle could have kept Zena from living her full smile story. Thankfully, she met Smile Train. Since 1999, Smile Train has helped millions of children like Zena find their forever smiles by empowering medical professionals around the world to provide cleft care in their own communities at no cost to families. Smile Train is working tirelessly to give every child with a cleft the opportunity to live their full smile story. Learn how you can help more kids like Zena at smiletrain.org/learn.
Hi, I'm Austin Cindric, driver of the number 2 Discount Tire Ford Mustang. Did you know one of the most important keys to success on the track and for safe driving on the road is having the right tire pressure? Properly inflated tires are essential to help you get the best gas mileage and keep you driving safely. Check your tire pressure at least once a month or stop by your local tire retailer for an air check.
A message from the U.S. Tire Manufacturers Association.
No man, no woman, no one left behind. For the VFW, it's a credo that stands long after our fighting days are over, because our service never stops. We're still serving, which is why we pledge to help our own, no matter where they are or when they need us. Standing in lockstep with those who stood so courageously for everyone else. It's what makes us the VFW. Learn more at vfw.org.
Welcome back to the Real Estate PB&J Hour on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9. Rose and Womble Realtors, Paul Fuqua and Joyce Carcase continue their discussion of the fundamentals of home buying and selling.
Welcome back, folks. I'm very pleased to know that you're out there soaking up all this wise and storied storied information from Mayor West of Chesapeake. Rick, I'm going to ask you another question. Larger tract residential development has historically been very successful in the city of Chesapeake. Can you predict more of that kind of growth, or is Chesapeake running out of that kind of land?
Well, we are running out and will run out. We probably have capacity for about another 100,000 people in the city of Chesapeake if we continue to protect our open space and agricultural space, which I assume we will do. So what we have to do for this next or this last gas of growth, and understand Chesapeake has always been a city of growth. Always. Even as Virginia is declining in growth, Chesapeake is continuing to grow it at 1 or 2 or 3% every year. And so we that's part of our culture.
In part of that, because of the excellence of the schools.
There are a lot of reasons. Safety, part of us, and again, I think because our city really is a caring city, and of course the schools are just excellent.
Well, we touched on this earlier. What role do you see with large-scale employers that residential housing stock plays? I mean, when you're recruiting a major company here, how important is it that there be housing stock for those employees? I think you related we didn't get some people.
Right. When Family Dollar and Family Tree merged, the Family Dollar folks from the Charlotte area, many of them chose not to come here, and part of it was because of traffic, and part of it was because of the lack of available housing. So this is how, when I say we need to do it smart, we need to develop larger, instead of smaller developments, larger developments that have a variety of housing. It's not just affordable housing that's lacking, it's executive housing as well. We don't really have gated communities. We don't have upper echelon housing, not enough of them for the executives of these companies. So mixed-use development with various levels of housing costs, like Greenbrier is, mixed in with office space and retail, what they call mixed-use development, is really the way to go for the rest of our city, along the major transportation corridors, 17 and Battlefield Boulevard.
17 Battlefield. And what about on the eastern portion? You've got Centerville, and that brings up the question of bridges. Since you've been on the council, and I've kind of tracked this, and now as mayor, I think the city of Chesapeake has probably built more bridges than in its history. I don't think you're responsible for the Great Bridge, but it's certainly the High Bridge over whatchamacallit,
And Veterans Bridge.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not. But my good friend Randy Forbes, who was the United States Congress at the time, is very much responsible for that expansion. So what we've done is not build new bridges, but we've expanded existing bridges because of traffic, and so that that people can get around. And the bridge at Great Bridge was certainly one of the important ones. The one on Dominion Boulevard, the Veterans Bridge, that is a major accomplishment.
Well, that's because 17 will become 87. Is that right?
It will. Well, there's certainly a possibility, and that's the hope of the folks, particularly in North Carolina. And we're discussing that as a region too, as to how is it going to be our next best interest to the region.
Well, that prompts the question: how about Deep Creek?
Deep Creek has been a thorn in our side for a long time, not in a bad way. It's just we want it built, and we want it built 5 years ago, right?
Yes.
But it is a project of the Army Corps of Engineers, and they operate on a different set of rules and regulations than we do, and they're progressing. We recently had a report from the new colonel, and there's only 2 more pieces of property to acquire for
Now, do they acquire that property, or is the city?
No, they do. We try to help, and we've helped on a couple of pieces of property, but It is their responsibility, and they have a long process. It has to go to the courts and up the Army Corps' different bureaucracy levels, and so it's a very slow and arduous process.
Okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit. Are you talking about 3 years from now we could see construction, or 5 years, or when my son has his first child, seeing him graduate from college?
I don't want to say right here, but we do have a timeline on our website. If you go to cityofchesapeake.net, you can find his presentation that will take you up to the times of issuing contracts. Okay. And so we're talking probably of doing that within the next year if things go
really
district. And then once you start the bidding, you're probably talking about a 3-year build out time is my guess.
Okay, so we know we're getting Deep Creek taken care of. How about Centerville?
Yeah.
Which breaks down once. It broke down for 3 or 4 months, and you had to repair that.
Right.
Or did the city repair that, or was that the Coast Guard or somebody else?
No, that's ours. That was all on us.
Okay.
And first of all, it was a renewal before the breakdown, and then it was a barge ran into it, and I think the company that owns the barge will end up paying for that delay.
How many millions of dollars?
I couldn't tell you. I honestly couldn't. I wish I could. But yeah, that is But it's not just the bridge, Paul. I mean, that whole Centerville Turnpike from Virginia Beach or from I-64 to Battlefield needs to be a 4-lane road. And so you can't build a bridge on a 2-lane road. It's not going to help anyone. So the idea, and we probably should have seen this 20 years ago because we need it now. And it'll take 20 years to build it. I mean, it'll take 20 years to do the studies, the environmental studies, to get financing. It's not going to happen tomorrow.
Not only that,
not while I'm.
Don't you? I mean, you don't have any desire to extend your term beyond when do you up your office in?
That's a good question. Right now, it is my term expires in January 25.
Okay. So we got you for 3 more years.
3 years.
That's good. Now, you'll get your name on something. You want a statue? Is any particular place you'd like a statue?
Yeah, my backyard, so my wife can throw that stuff at it. That's about all I deserve.
Out there, remember, 757-497-1310. Pardon me?
5 minutes.
Oh, we have 5 minutes. So if you're going to call now, I'm going to ask the eminent man, is there anything you'd like to say? I'm going to give you 3 minutes of my last 5, and then I'm going to start promoting myself. What would you say to somebody who lives in Keokuk, Iowa, and is thinking about coming to Chesapeake?
Yeah, Chesapeake is an awesome city. It really is. The schools, as you said, and all the things, the safety, the smart development. But, even better than what's Chesapeake is our region. I mean, you look at Norfolk and what they have to offer with our beach. It's a great beach. And the more we operate as a region to attract people, the better off we will all be. And so I'm excited that we have some organizations like the Hampton Roads Alliance that are working to promote our region and to make it more competitive, to bring those kind of businesses and jobs to our whole region. Because it's my belief if Portsmouth gets better, Chesapeake gets better. We all are affected by the adverse and the positive things that happen to our cities.
Do you think transportation from neighborhood to city to neighborhood to industrial center to commercial center is a major hurdle to the unification of the jurisdictions? I'm thinking light rail as a potential. I mean, I grew up and saw what Metro did to the D.C. area.
We are, as a region, lacking. Our public transportation system is not good, but it is getting better. I served on the HRT Commission for about 3 years and had its challenges, but now they have designated funding. You see the bus routes are getting better. They're looking at a plan of even expanding light rail to Greenbrier.
Good. How's it going to get there? Do they have any idea? My wife and I were discussing this the other day.
Yeah, it would probably along the railroad track there at Summit Point. I think that's what they're looking at now. Right. But I mean, we're still talking years down the road, but at least there's conversation about those things.
You know my wife, and my wife was striding and saying they ought to do what Tri-Rail, what they did in South Florida, where you got the Tri-Rail that runs down the middle of the interstate. But her idea is, well, yeah, you drive to the interstate, park your car, and then get on the train because you're going from Miami to Fort Lauderdale, and you don't want to drive. And I said, that ain't going to work here.
No.
No, we need it connecting industrial sites, commercial sites, residential
And honestly,
sites?
it needs to be a lot of different modalities. I mean, buses, light rail, the trolleys, different options.
Okay, Rick, I really thank you, and I want to thank the wonderful Holly Robinson for being on the show today. Your participation insight has certainly been invaluable to me because, in part, we try to show that real estate touches everybody, and what you live in reflects you. It's your sanctuary. And hopefully, if you are looking for a new one and you want to sell your old one, you're going to call me, Paul Fuqua at Rosenwomble Realty.
You'll get a good realtor.
Yeah. And I didn't ask for your phone number. You're not going to give your phone number out over the public, do you? They can call you at City Hall.
That's right.
All right. Rick West.